Thank you for listening today on Revealing Wholeness, sponsored by Infinity Whole Health. Check out our website at infinityWholeHealth.com, where we are revealing the eternal in each individual, the infinite in the individual. The creativity is made manifest. Limitation is let go. Now, here's your host, Dr. Troy Munson.
Hello and welcome. I'm Dr. Troy Munson on Revealing Wholeness. And, I get a lot of questions about allergies. Doc, can you help me with my allergies? Can you, I think I have some foods that I'm allergic to. I think that maybe I am celiac disease. Maybe I have milk intolerance. Maybe, I got something going on with me. And first and foremost, to kind of tell the difference between the two so that we're all on the same page, it's really easy to use food allergies and food intolerances interchangeably. But if we want to split hairs and figure out the real difference, is an allergy is one that will make it through the gut and now cause problems in organ systems, immune systems, things of that nature. So an allergy, let's just go with a food intolerance. Food intolerance is going to usually be symptoms starting within 24 hours. A food allergy that is truly affecting an organ system may take between 2 and 5 days, even as long as 7 days to show up a symptom. And so I'll give you a prime example. Let's say I eat something that irritates the gut lining. It makes it through or opens up my gut lining, and now I get viruses, bacteria, funguses pouring through my digestive system into my blood system, and now I've got an immune challenge. We've now got them ramping up and trying to cause havoc in my system. And then after, killing the things for a day or two, I now have symptoms 4 days later after I ate something. That would be a food allergy that's causing an organ problem. And so to give you an idea, like I've mentioned in other videos and podcasts, that if I eat processed dairy, meaning pasteurized dairy, my eyes are going to be itchy within a very short period of time, like 20 minutes, maybe even less. And I'll be doing something and my eye starts itching and I'll scratch it. And if it stays itchy and gets more itchy, all I have to do is go, oh my goodness. And I think back, what did I eat for over the last 6 hours? And I'll point to something. Because ultimately we think, well, aren't the eyes like an organ? And isn't that a food allergy, or is that an intolerance? And ultimately, it's opened up some type of thing in my gut, and it's affected my gut, which is also part of my skin, and now the whole system is messed up. But now it's affecting my immune system because it's creating inflammation in my body, and now my eyes are itchy. And so it's like everything I can do to not want to scratch my eyeballs out, kind of like Poltergeist when he's freaking out and thinking he's scratching his eyeballs out. For those of you that can remember the movie Poltergeist, I can totally, join with him in that moment of wanting to scratch my eyeballs out. But, it's wild because it's everything I can do to stop scratching and think, wow, what a strong allergic reaction. It's kind of like an anaphylaxis, but it's happening in my eyes rather than my throat closing up, or somebody who can't eat peanuts and all of a sudden they can't breathe and they have to have an EpiPen. But the scenario is much the same way. So if you've experienced any things like that, and you're out there suffering from allergies, perhaps maybe, just maybe, your allergies could be fixed by doing something a little different. I'm going to talk about that in just a moment. But food intolerances are literally going to be things that are going to be digestive related. So let's say you've got a lactose intolerance and you drink milk and all of a sudden your gut cramps like no tomorrow, now you have diarrhea. Okay, that's a food intolerance. It's not necessarily an allergy, it's a food intolerance. So while they have similar symptoms, because a food allergy can definitely cause cramping in the gut, can cause diarrhea, can cause nausea, vomiting, all those things, they'll often cause other issues too. So as we go down this road, how do we know now that you have a food allergy? Or let's say that you've had a food allergy test and they say you're allergic to all this stuff. Well, maybe, but is your system just that messed up and that clogged that you're reacting to things that you technically wouldn't or not as bad react to if your body was clean? So let me give you a prime example. So let's say somebody eats wheat. They have a slice of bread and their gut hurts and their body hurts and they're fatigued and they're getting itching and maybe they even have liver pain. Do we know that wheat is the problem? Now, not necessarily. We could be having an allergic reaction to the pesticides on the wheat. Could be the growing stuff that they're doing. Could be the hybridization. Could be the genetically modified wheat. Could be all kinds of things. So the first thing we want to do is if you suspect a food allergy, we want you to do it in a pure form, meaning hopefully organic, some company you trust, and that your other parts of your diet are also equally clean. Because if you go to that wheat product and you say, okay, all I'm going to do right now is just eliminate wheat for 5 days, and you feel better, great. Just do the regular wheat. Yep, my diet's the same. I ate the wheat. I feel like crap. Got it. Definitely that product now. We just don't know if it's chemical on the product or is the wheat itself. Is it the hybridization or is it the genetically modified or is it the gluten? So now we want to go to our organic source wheat. And I wouldn't do just one. Hey, this one made me also feel equally bad, but not as bad. Okay, we'll go to a different company and see if they're cleaner. Yeah, it didn't react at all to this wheat product. Okay, well now we know it may not necessarily be wheat and gluten. It may be something chemically that's on that food. Now, not all organic growers are above board. I'm just going to be honest. Sometimes they use it as a ploy to sell. And I just want to be cognizant of that. I want to be aware of that. I want to be not misinformed or not at least just believe everything I read, so to speak. So that's how we would challenge that. If you know it's a toxin, then you say, okay, well, let me see if that toxin's on other things. Is it Roundup? Is it something else? Is it, like let's say you've been drinking coffee, which is one of the most pesticide, plants on the planet, along with tea, and maybe you just switched to a new brand at the same time and you didn't keep everything the same, and all of a sudden now there's less pesticides on there, and you're like, well, hey, I stopped eating that wheat and, I had no problems with it. But you change something else. That's why I say your diet has to be pretty solidly consistent to really nail down a food allergy in that way, and then test it and remove it, test it and remove it. So I definitely recommend you do that. Some things that we can be absolutely sensitive to are food additives. They can cause some serious problems and triggers, whether it's asthma, whether it's breathing difficulty, whether it's behavior in children. Those things are more and more well documented as we go. I think it goes without saying that the pesticides and the herbicides and things that are on our food are definitely not so good for us and can definitely cause some sensitivities. So be aware of those things. I think anytime that we're going more green, we're obviously doing a better job at it. Now, food intolerances, that may be a different animal, but it's not that I haven't seen food intolerances when they've changed to an organic source get better too. So be aware of that too. So maybe you suspect that you have a nut allergy. And you're like, yep, if I do organic nuts, it's just as bad. But now I tell you, okay, so I want you to ferment the nuts, meaning soaking the nuts in water and salt overnight or for 24 hours, letting them swell, and then drying the nuts under 115 degrees to protect the oils and the nutrients in those nuts. And then once they're crispy to your desire, that now you see if they still cause you an issue. Hey, I can eat fermented nuts, but I can't eat raw nuts. Got it. So you have some problems with the phytic acids that are in those nuts. So these are just some ideas of how you go about figuring out, is it really the entire nut? Is it a protein in the nut? Is it an oil in the nut? Is it the phytic acids in the nut? There's different things that we can be intolerant to or have an allergy to. So you may still be able to have your cake and eat it too. These are just ideas that you can go about kind of finding that. Things that might be a little bit more serious might be like a celiac disease, but I've met celiac people who do raw organic and all of a sudden find themselves not having an issue with wheat. And so, just because you've been labeled some type of disease, I'm not going to let that hold a lot of weight either until we fully test it out in real world values, if that makes sense to you. So maybe a little bit of hope here. I hope that got through and came across in a good way. If I left some holes, you have questions, please message me, contact me. Happy to kind of ferret out your individual issues and kind of see if we can't help you live a more full, more energetic, more happy, more peaceful life. So until next time, I'm Dr. Troy Munson on Revealing Wholeness.
Thanks for listening. If you have any questions or comments, you can reach Dr. Munson at 893-8586 or email him at chiroman@dr.com. That's chiroman@dr.com. Check out our current workshop schedule on Facebook at Infinity Whole Health.
The information on this podcast from Dr. Troy Munson is meant to educate the listener on a variety of health issues. It is not meant to diagnose or treat any conditions.